Hello, welcome to June wrap up. First, you could probably hear it in my voice. I have a sinus infection, got antibiotics today, and then also on top of it I was at the Padres game yesterday in San Diego. And if you watch baseball, oh my god. The Dodgers beat the Padres 15-3, 9 runs in one inning, and even us as Dodgers fans, we were like, what is happening? Anyways, my voice is shot from a bunch of screaming, and I have a sinus infection, so there's a lot of editing. I'm probably editing out a bunch of sniffling and stuff, so please forgive me this video. We are going to talk about everything I read in June, which I have had a trend of some really freaking great books this year, especially in the last couple of months, and June was no exception. There were a couple of duds, but quantity over quality, I'm gonna say. I will also do a very brief book haul because I have a couple books to talk about that I bought since the last time I shared books that I bought. All right, first is Yona of the Dawn Volume 20. I love Yona of the Dawn. I am slowly catching up on buying the series. Try to grab it on Pango whenever I see it for a discount. Then every so often I'll buy like a volume when I see it on a shelf. So Volume 20, I am probably about a third done with collecting. Still a ways to go. Then, this was a surprise to me, Dissection of a Murder by Joe Murray, and I also finished this, so I will talk about that later when I talk about everything I read in June. Then two I bought just today, on my way home from San Diego. I stopped by Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore. I love them. I wish I lived close enough to make them my, personal own local bookstore, but I don't. So when I am in the area, I do try to stop by. So I got two books. First is Heaven's Graveyard by Grace Curtis. This just came out. This has been on my anticipated list. I actually have an e-arc for this that I haven't gotten to, so I am going to start this pretty much immediately. So, but I was always going to buy a copy of it, so I'm very excited for this one. And did they put a bookmark in here for me? They did. The little dragon mascot. And while I was there, apparently there is, I guess, new to me, a paperback version of The Bear and the Nightingale, which is silvery foil, which is really cool. And apparently this is a signed copy. So I bought it for regular price, but Katherine Arden signed a bunch of stuff at the store, and this is a signed copy. And I found in an old library sale, or maybe a little free library, I found an arc of The Bear and the Nightingale, which I have somewhere. But I really like this cover. I love the shininess of it, and it was signed, and it's so floppy. It's so nice and floppy. So I am excited to finally get to this. I've been wanting to read it for years. That is what I bought. Let's get to what I read. All right, the first batch of books I've already talked about in some form in like a recent reads, so I'm going to link all the recent reads where these discussions, reviews are in the description box if you want to go check that out. So first, 10 Planets by Yuri Herrera. This is a short story collection I've had for a very long time. I did not like it. The writing wasn't for me. Gave it 2 stars. The next favorite of the year. This is The Republic of Memory by Mahmud El-Sayed. Favorite of the year. Please go check out the recent reads where I talk about this and I gush about it. I absolutely loved it. This is absolutely gunning for favorite book of the year. After that, I read Witch Queen Rising. So I think maybe it suffered a little bit from being right after Republic of Memory, but still held its own. I gave it 4 stars. This is a urban fantasy paranormal novel with black witches. It is good. Again, I have talked about it at length in a previous video. And then most recently, I read and finished A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Ayinde. I also bought this recently. I read it immediately. This was a surprise. I talked about it a lot in my recent reads. Go check that out. But this, I know there are a couple people out there who've been championing this book, and that's why it's been on my radar. So I'm going to be one of them. This is a very good book. It is very promising. So I thought the second book was already out, but no, it's actually out in August. So I'm very excited to grab that when it comes out. But I think this is a very promising series. I gave this 4 stars when I finished it, but it has the potential to go higher, probably on a reread after the full series is done. Okay, let's get to what I have not talked about. I think I did mention this in a recent reads because I was reading it. This is Deadweight by Hildur Knutsdottir. This is a small little horror novel translated from Icelandic by Mary Robinette Kowal, who is a great sci-fi writer in her own right. This is marketed as horror, but I think it leans very, very, very much on the literary scale of the horror end. There is some gore in it, but I think the horror it's realistic horror. It is real life horror. It is not supernatural, paranormal, any kind of like horror like that. And I do think that I really need to talk about the content warnings for this. So content warnings for domestic abuse, physical, emotional, verbal, domestic abuse. There is a cat in this and a kitten. The animals are okay. I know that was a big problem for a lot of people in Hildur's first book, but there's no animal violence in this. There is a threat of animal violence, but there's no violence done to animals at all whatsoever. I like this a lot. For me, this is one of those where it's like, it's two characters who are brought together by circumstance, the cat, and it's two women whose lives are essentially controlled in different ways by the men in their lives, and how they go about dealing with that. I don't want to say more than that, but I also don't want to make it seem like a strangers on a train situation. It's nothing like that. It's just two women coming together and trying to figure shit out. This is very much a not to be trite, but it's like a girlhood kind of book, like being there for other women. There's another, like a third character, kind of like very secondary, third tertiary character, who also embodies the girls looking out for girls kind of feeling. So I liked this a lot more than the first one, and I really liked The Night Guest. But The Night Guest was, The Night Guest I would say falls way more under the horror banner, very creepy. This one, I think the horror is in the real life situation that these women are going through, and there's gore, but I don't think it's very, if you're like a baby about horror, you'll be fine with this. Absolutely. If you are also okay with those content warnings of domestic violence that I brought up earlier. So I enjoyed this. I'm very happy that Hildur is getting a lot more stuff translated. I'm very much looking forward to whatever she's got next. Then I finally read a new volume of Apothecary Diaries. This is 11, and I'm very happy that I read this one because we get some Jinshi parentage in this, and ooh, that is good. That is some good shit. Mao Mao continues to be oblivious in some forms, but this was a really, really good entry in terms of like having Mao Mao solve something while it also unveils a lot of history of the characters that we know and love. We also get a couple of chapters from other perspectives, not Mao Mao, which brought a lot to the table. Very interesting. So I continue to absolutely adore this series, and I'm going to be continuing, obviously. How soon? Probably very soon. I already have the next volume 12 out on my nightstand to pick up soon. Okay. Finally, at the end of the month, literally this weekend, I finished Dissection of a Murder by Joe Murray. This is a British legal thriller, essentially. It's about a female lawyer. I'm just going to use American terms for this because there's specific different legal terms in Britain. It's actually explained in the front of the book, but I cannot remember it because I am just brain fog, sinus, brain fog. So I'm just going to use American terms like attorney, lawyer, whatever, judge, etc. This man is arrested for murdering a judge, and he says he only wants this one specific lawyer, and she is not a criminal lawyer. She just does other types of law, and the person prosecuting the man against her is her husband, who is a very, very well-established, intensely good prosecutor. So we follow her as she is dealing with trying to figure out what happened because her client is saying nothing. He won't even give her anything to provide like a defense brief to the other side, so they can't even get evidence from the other side because there's no defense brief. She's trying to figure out what went on. There's like minor snooping that she's doing in terms of like trying to figure out what happened the night of the murder. There's a lot of like twisty stuff. There's like these are the what the hell do you call them again? Brain fog. I'm sorry. These are authors who have blurbs. These are the blurbs, and they're literally one word. Twisty, shocking, gripping, addictive. Addictive and gripping, yes. Shocking and twisty. Okay, twisty, yes. Shocking, I wasn't super shocked because I saw all of these and I was like, okay, something's coming. In terms of like the actual like twists and stuff, I didn't mind what the big twist reveal, etc., as the end came along was, but It didn't impress me whatsoever. So this wasn't a bad read. I read it in like literally 2 sittings. It's a very fast, gripping read. You know, you want to keep page turner, absolutely a page turner. But I think it's a little silly, but in like a good, like enjoying a thriller kind of way. So I don't disrecommend this. I literally haven't even marked this as read on Goodreads yet. I almost forgot to grab it in my pile of books. But I would give this a solid like 3.5 for a thriller. It's exactly what I needed, like just brainless, grippy read until you literally can't read anymore, and then read until 1 in the morning, and that's part of the reason why you're still sick kind of thing. So not upset that I read it, but I wouldn't like library, get it from the library. Decent thriller. I did not have a bad time. 3.5 stars. That is everything. Okay, ignore the back. That's for a video that you're not seeing yet. Ignore those piles. These are what I've read and bought in June. So I got a favorite of the year. I have one that is really pushing it up there in terms of like being on the favorites of the year list. Witch Queen Rising is getting up there too. So I had some really big hits in June, and the end of May I also had some really big hits. So it's been going good. I'm really happy with my reading. I'm very excited for some of the stuff that I'm going to be reading soon, and the video that I'm going to mention coming up soon. That's all I got. I gotta stop talking because I need to just stop all of this. So thank you for watching as always, and I will catch you next time. Bye.